This is Travis Wayne Goodsell, and I wanted to do a video on why I no longer affiliate with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, LDS Church. Simply put, I was not allowed to come back to my ward by the former bishop now. He finally got replaced. The bishop had confronted me about my posts and videos, and the video that I did on the Book of Mormon as the official doctrine of the church, he did not appreciate, and said that I cannot post that is the case with the church. And since I'm the type of person who is going to continue to say in church that the Book of Mormon is the official doctrine of the church, therefore, deductively, I concluded that I was no longer allowed in church. People don't seem to realize that when you try to silence somebody, you're threatening them. Other people have told me that I need to be quiet and I need to be careful about what I say because I could get in trouble. That is threats. That is trying to silence me. And that's criminal behavior. And so I don't conform to threats. I'm sick and tired of being threatened in my life. But that's not why I don't affiliate with the church. That's why I stopped going to church. After the bishop had threatened me with silence, I started studying. I've always been studying. That's what I do in my life. I'm famous for Paleo-Hebrew and making the discovery of the origin of our alphabet. It's not what William Foxwell Albright claims it is, and I have a new theory based on discoveries that I've made. But I decided, I need to do some research on church history, LDS Church history. That was my one area of weakness in my life. I had attended Rick's, took all the classes that were available. I graduated from early morning seminary. I attended Institute while I was at the University of Lethbridge in Canada and took all their classes there. But the one class that I was weak in was church history. And the reason why is that the church is withholding information from us, the members. They're not disclosing everything. And when you read texts, any text, not just church text, you can identify statements of fact versus statements of opinion. And you can also identify if there's missing information from the text. So when you read Joseph Smith's history in The Pearl of Great Price, he talks about having a father and a mother and gives their names. But that's it. So that's all the information we have. There's no other information about them. This is Joseph Smith's history, granted, but you can instantly tell that there's missing information. And so when you do research, and the research that I started with was the coming forth of the Book of Mormon and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's the origin story of the church. And I wanted to know the truth. And the church doesn't tell the truth. There are too many gaps in the official presentation of what it was. And the Joseph Smith history also has many gaps that are in it, and some errors. And as you do research, people recognize that, hey, there are some additions and editings that are here that don't represent what really happened. In 1993, Elder Packer made sure that 6 BYU professors in the church history department were excommunicated from the church and fired from BYU. These 6 professors had merely found documented evidence that contradicted the church's official stand on church history. And they didn't think anything of it at first. They weren't going around saying, oh, the church isn't true because we found this and that. No, they were just saying, oh, look at this document. We found this evidence, and this is what happened in this particular time. And so you see that the church is trying to cover up their own history. They don't just misrepresent history with what they provide us, they're also covering up anything that exposes the truth. And Section 121, I keep going back to that for people, and I don't think Mormons understand their own scriptures, because if you're wicked in the least degree, your priesthood is gone. You have no authority. And that goes with leadership. If you're wicked in the least degree, boom, gone. No more leadership authority. You are no longer authorized by God to lead His church. And the simple matter is that when you're wicked, God does not reveal anything to you. Or in other words, you don't listen to God. You're doing bad things. You're not listening to God. And therefore, you don't have God's will that you're doing. You're doing Lucifer's will. That's a simple, logical argument. But yet Mormons don't get it. And that frustrates me. But the reason why I don't affiliate with the church is because I learned from my research that Brigham Young is the cause of all of the misdoctrines, the incorrect doctrines, and the abuses. And he changed everything. He took the church in a completely different direction than what Joseph Smith intended. And murder was my line that he crossed. And I no longer want to affiliate with a church that promotes murder in order to establish your position of authority. And simply put, a leader who has lost his authority, according to section 121, he cannot pass authority on to others. Now Mormons will say, no, but King Noah, he was able to pass authority on to his priests even though they were wicked. That's different. And here's the difference. King Noah was the son of Zeniff. When you're the son, you automatically become the leader, and you have authority irregardless of righteousness or wickedness. When it comes to a person who elevates himself by seniority, that's different. And I don't know if you guys understand the difference there, but it's all throughout the Old Testament, the concept of birthright and blessing. A son who is the birthright blessing son has the authority unless he loses it before ascending to leadership. And that's where the story of Nephi and Laman come in. Laman was the birthright blessing son. He was to be the leader of his family. But because he was wicked from birth, or who knows where he began, but he lost his birthright and blessing. And Nephi became the birthright blessing son. And so there's more lenience, more tolerance for father to son in God's eyes, so that a wicked king can become righteous through repentance and be able to maintain authority to pass it on to his son. But as you notice, Limhi was the son of Noah, and he was a good man and took over the reign of the people with the death that occurred with the destruction of those people. So that's the exception. But in other leadership, you can't pass leadership to another person if you're wicked. But father to son is an automatic thing that God recognizes. So I hope you understand that part. So Brigham Young changed it to make it ascension in the Quorum of the 12, which was originally the traveling 12. And Mormons don't know their history. They don't know that section 102 talks about a standing Quorum of 12, separate from the traveling 12 in 107. And so Brigham Young messed everything up. He turned everything around. And that's unacceptable to me. You cannot be chosen of God when you violate God, when you rebel against God. And so, yeah, I don't affiliate with the church anymore because of what I learned about Brigham Young. The point that I'm wanting to bring up is that I've been warning everybody, the whole world, because the website, the internet, is a communications device for the whole world. Anybody who has a computer and internet access, I can communicate with you. If you come to my website, if you come to my YouTube posts, I used to belong on Facebook, but I got fed up with the shadow banning that they were doing. And I left Twitter for that exact same reason. But yeah, I'm able to communicate to everybody in the world, and that's a great miracle. But this is the last days, and we all know that there will be last days. But yet I talked to a patriarch, one who gives patriarchal blessings, and he knew that I was talking about the last days signs that were occurring. And he said, well, in my day and age, we thought that signs were happening too, but then nothing happened. And that's sad to see, because he was a man who was giving future blessings to people, to youth in his stake. And to hear him discredit the prophecies of Scripture, that was disheartening. Members of the church have lost hope in the second coming. And it's not really supposed to be the second coming, because Christians messed up the New Testament on that. The Jews are more accurate. The only problem with the Jews is that they dismiss the first coming. So, yeah, religions are messed up. They've lost their original source, and the original source is the Egyptians. And I've done my research. I am the one who has identified the Genesis stories with the Egyptian documents, the Egyptian glyphs, because I'm the one who discovered that the Egyptian glyphs need to be translated as well. And so Joseph Smith's translation is not completely wrong. It's just incomplete. Joseph Smith did not do a complete translation, and he made a couple of errors, but his concept was right on target. And you need to understand that my research shows that the Book of Mormon is not an actual history of the American people. And members immediately yell, "Blasphemy! Burn the witch!" You don't get it. There's research. You have to do research. You can't just say, "I believe whatever you tell me. I will quote and parrot whatever you say." And we're seeing that today. Trump is a master at brainwashing people. He continually gets up in rallies and gets on the news, and he says the exact same lies over and over and over and over. And that's to instill in his believers what they need to believe in and say. And when the news fact checks Trump, they go, "Wait a minute, no, Trump is wrong, he's lying." And now Trump is over 5,000 lies while president. There are linguistic tools that must be performed when you're doing research. That's how your teacher can identify that a couple of kids in her class have copied each other's work and submitted it in class, or if you copied something off the internet or from another book. The teacher knows. The teacher knows your manner of speech. And if she identifies something wrong with your manner of speech, she can merely research the source of what you're talking about and find that you have been plagiarizing somebody else's work. That's why we're taught as little kids in grade school, don't copy other people's work. Put it in your own words. And if you're going to quote, you need to reference who you're quoting. And we all know this. We're taught this. And so I don't understand why our society is betraying our education. Fallacy. We are not taught logic in this nation. I had to get my logical education from the University of Lethbridge. The University of Utah tried it in 2004 when I attended there, but the teacher was eaten alive by the Christians in the class. They didn't have a prerequisite for the class. They needed to. There needs to be a basic understanding of logical formulas and arguments. But the Christians in the class clearly did not have that background prerequisite. And as a result, the teacher was not able to present the material relative to the class. And the class ran the class, not the teacher. And that was disappointing for me because I already had that education up in Lethbridge, and I already knew the answers before the teacher presented them. But I witnessed as the class ate him alive. Whereas in Lethbridge, the teacher controlled the class. You know, the class members tried to assert their Christian beliefs, and the teacher shot them down. You can't present falsehood in an education class. And people don't get that. Christians don't get that. You can't put forth creationism, divine design, or any of those other false theories that aren't really theories. A theory is not an opinion. A theory is a prediction. When you make a theory, you are saying that if such and such is the case, then such and such will occur. And scientists need to perform theory tests for their theories in order to confirm that their theory is accurate and sound. If a scientist presents a theory and it cannot be replicated, the theory must be scrapped immediately. It is unsound because it can't be replicated. Nobody can learn the truth. So yes, I'm sorry scientists, the Big Bang has to be scrapped. We cannot replicate the Big Bang. We cannot replicate the theory of evolution. We can replicate evolution, but not the theory of evolution. Evolution is merely, the change in a species over the course of time. And we see that with humans. Humans in different parts of the world have evolved to a different look and appearance. And we know that. There are blacks, whites, and we use colors to classify us. That's weird, but There are different races. There are different nationalities. Those are evolutionary changes. But it's not proof or confirmation that we evolved from chimpanzees. There's a big leap, and scientists, and you guys know that there's a thing called the missing link. You know, it's missing. Scientists, claim that they've predicted that they can find the missing link and verify that we did evolve from chimpanzees. So where's the missing link? Replicate it. We can alter DNA, and yet we can't replicate it. So, I'm sorry, you gotta ban the theory. But creationism, that the world was created in 7 24-hour period days? Come on. That's nonsense. That was not the original intention. That's what turned out in the English translation. The scriptures were not written in English. Adam did not record the histories of his generations from father to son in English. English did not occur until the English created it. French did not occur until the French created it. Italian did not occur until the Italians created it. Are you getting the picture? Our current English translations are not correct. Yet you have Jehovah's Witnesses, and they're worse because they get involved in the phonetics of it. You have to say Jehovah. Jehovah was not this pronunciation in the original language. But Jehovah's Witnesses believe you have to say Jehovah exactly as it's pronounced. Jehovah. No. So, yeah, it's frustrating. People are stupid. And people get upset when you call them stupid for being stupid. And then other people say, oh, you need to use a different tactic. You need to flatter them, pacify them, and deceive them. Really? The Book of Mormon was not intended to give us examples of bad behavior. We have people who watch Star Wars and want to be a Sith Lord. What is your problem? You don't want to commit crime. You don't want to abuse and oppress other people. Why are you wanting to be bad? We have a government that's doing that. We have a church that's doing that. In further research, the church is a business, a corporation, a sole corporation, meaning that they put in a government business document of how the church succession is supposed to be. Joseph Smith intended to pass the leadership of the church to a family member, a son preferably, but his sons were too young when he was assassinated. And so Hiram Smith was the designated replacement if he were to be assassinated early. And he was assassinated too. And so the leadership of the church was gone. It was not passed on to another person. And the church splintered into numerous divisions, numerous church groups that formed. Brigham Young was just one of those. And you'll watch. There's one guy who follows me on my YouTube channel who will instantly put a thumbs down for this video. He's a hater, and he won't disclose who he is, but he wants to make sure that he's heard as being opposed to what I'm telling you. And I haven't told you any lies. I'm telling you why I don't affiliate with the LDS Church anymore. It began by a bishop threatening me to be silent. And it ended with my discovery that the church is no longer on the earth. It's apostasy. That's what we're in. And if you've seen my other works, my other posts on my website, you know that I've done the research. I've decimated the church in word, but Mormons refuse to believe. They won't do the research, because with the excommunication of those 6 church history members, the church went on an anti-intellectual attack, and Mormons were no longer allowed to study the scriptures, no longer allowed to study church history. The church was doing a cover-up scam. They didn't want the truth out. And now we have it that Mormons cannot ask the president of the church doctrinal questions. They pass it off to our stake presidents. There's over 3,000 stake presidents. That's 3,000 different answers for what the supposed doctrine is. That's what happened in the apostasy. Jesus' church split into over 100 churches, and each church had their own doctrine, their own faith, their own creed. And then Constantine came along and united them under one Trinity God. The Trinity God did not appear and say, "This is your God, you shall now worship me." No. Constantine said, he's a 3-in-1 being. And so the painting of him having 3 faces, that's their God. So it's men who have altered the gospel of Jesus in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It has Jesus' name, but they do not follow Jesus. They neglect the poor. They only give out $40 million a year in welfare. Probably more with the truckloads of supplies to the various states that have been hit by hurricanes. But they only give a token amount. When people suffer from hurricanes, this takes months to restore. They have to rebuild a home. And if they don't have insurance, or the insurance doesn't want to pay, or pay the full amount, how do they get the money? They're out of work because their business was flooded. So the damage from hurricanes lasts for months. They need daily supplies for months. Puerto Rico is still not recovered because we've treated them as subhuman. Where's the church in Puerto Rico? They're not there. They gave a token amount, just like they did for Texas and for Florida, and they'll give a token amount for North Carolina, but that's it. You know, the Deseret News will cover it. Oh, the church is donating, but that's it. To pull people out of poverty requires more than just a handout. And we've got serious problems in these last days. The signs in the heavens have all occurred, and now it's destruction time, and the time is running out. But this is why I don't affiliate with the church. That's my intention with this video. So there you have it. Now you know. And you're going to believe whatever you're going to believe, because reality is apparently arbitrary. Everybody gets to choose their own reality now. So, yeah. Enjoy the burning.